The more I'm in therapy, I'm learning. It's just clinical. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Tonight is the first episode of the It's Clinical podcast. Of course, if you recognize the name, because, it's more of a movement. We have the movie, the mental health awareness film, It's Clinical, which the red carpet premiere will be on August the 3rd at the A50 Event Center. And we also have the DJ rocking that night here, but we ain't talk about no music today, so y'all just sit back and wait. We just letting a couple people come in, and I'm gonna get back to my T-Mobile phone that is really fucking up right now, and I'm just really excited to talk to Hale. I mean, like, when you have somebody that do so much, I got a lot of questions in my head. Who knows where this conversation is gonna go? But it's gonna go though. I'm telling you. So y'all
It
just
won't
sit
be
tight.
bad.
It definitely won't be bad. It definitely won't be bad, man. Listen, when you got somebody like Hale, man, and that's why we had you for the first guest, like for real. Even if you wasn't running, you will probably be sitting here as the first guest. Yeah, my dog is in the motherfucking building. Listen, church folks, I cuss and I love God. So, you can't have no mental health podcast without it being raw. But I'm gonna tell you, I thought about this all day on how to introduce you.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let you do it. Cause I call you comma. Because you're DJ, comma, author, comma, Madam Future State Representative, comma.
Okay.
So I'll let you do it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, bunch of commas. So, do I have to look at one of these cameras? Which way we going? There we go. Hey, I just broke the third. What's it called?
The fourth wall.
The fourth wall. That's the third one. The fourth one. Okay. I'm Hale Morrissette. I'm also known as Hale, renamed by my beautiful community in Pensacola.
Let's go.
Because I have a 10-year running background in grassroots organizing, popped out 10 years ago with Maine as my predecessor.
Let's go.
Really following behind him. And let's see. So I have my master's in social work from the University of West Florida. I am a former victims advocate and trauma therapist. Man, that was a great time to be alive. I did outreach coordination for Lakeview Center Trauma Services back in the day. That's about 8 years ago. And I currently am the senior national organizer for Dream Defenders. So I organize communities all over the nation. Mm-hmm. But I'm on sabbatical right now because I'm running for State House Representative.
Yes, sir.
District 2. I'm the owner of Soul Step Solutions, which is a step before therapy, but a step beyond just venting to your friends. So helping people either come into just having mental health maintenance after being through, a lot of therapy for years, or starting to transition into therapy and not just being ready just yet. And so, I've released a lot of tools around with Soul Step Solutions because of that. Let's see, what else? There's a lot of things. I am a mother of 2. And with and the thing that's the biggest that everybody really loves, I'm a DJ. I'm one of the top DJs in the Gulf Coast. Thank you very much.
And that happened in a short amount of time.
And I mean, if we're being honest, because I just celebrated 6 years of DJing.
Damn.
And
time flies.
The pop out happened. That pop out really happened. So I'm on 107.3 The Beat on Mondays at 5:00. And I love talking through my music. My station manager is amazing. That's called the Queen's Mix. And I'll leave it there. I think and I sit on a bunch of nonprofit boards.
You see what I'm saying? That's why I ain't even really try to entertain the thought of introducing you, because I was gonna fuck that up. Like it's just being real. I'm gonna tell you, when I was living in Jacksonville, I came home and I did a mental health town hall meeting. Mm-hmm. You was the first person I called.
Yeah.
What made you get into social work, and where does social work come in on the overall spectrum of mental health?
So I got into social work. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to go to school, and I knew I needed a degree. Mm-hmm. and I had started organizing. But I also I was just volunteering as a victims advocate. So I was going out, sitting with victims of crime at the hospitals, helping them navigate the court system. I was just volunteering, doing this while also having my full-time job at Lakeview, just at the front desk. And as I'm like researching and thinking about all the different things that I could go back and get a degree in, I was like, social workers have this broad spectrum of everything that they can do.
Right.
You can be a consultant and be a social worker. You could go into mental health. You go into healthcare administration. There's just so many. You could be a lobbyist as a social worker. Like, there was so many different things you could do as a social worker that I was like, I need that flexibility.
Right.
That right there. But also overall was it was when I read the ethics of social workers. Social work, the ethics basically say that you're supposed to fight for people that are marginalized. You're supposed to be a voice for other folks.
Right.
If you see something wrong, you call it out. And that regardless of where you work or what you do, you don't go by what's in their ethos and everything. Your social work values is what guides you, and you're supposed to call it out if it's a problem and an issue, no matter what. So I was like, oh,
that chose you.
I'm a social worker.
Yeah. That definitely chose you.
No getting around that. I'm a social worker.
Now, I'm gonna be jumping all around here. You are running for state representative, District 2.
District 2.
And you're going to win.
I'm going to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And y'all going to help make that happen. We'll get to how later. What do you think when it comes to Escambia County and the mental health funding? Because I've had some conversations with some elected officials, not citywide, city and county, but more so state. And I'll just leave it at that. And that's why I'm so excited with someone with your background that's running.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Overall, it's bleak. We just don't do enough. We don't. There's also an issue around there's not a broad view of what mental health actually can mean for people, right?
Right.
It's not just, it's absolutely funding for addiction, for suicide, for trauma. There's so many ways that we can be trauma-informed communities. Like, we should be investing in that, but we should also be looking at how restorative justice works into the broad mental health spectrum, and how we should be implementing things like helping children be able to express their feelings at young ages so that we don't have these blow-ups later down the line, and how that feeds into like this trauma and grief circle that can be happening in our communities. And so, because we're not funding and listening to people who are on the ground actually doing this, we have folks who are not on the ground that do sit in spaces that are saying, you don't need more mental health counselors. We just need funding to figure it out in some sort of way. Y'all need to be able to have more peer sharing, which I absolutely believe in. And I know you do too. It's like peer-to-peer work.
Peer-to-peer work.
But we do need to be feeding back into people that are clinical, that have the license and have the expertise. In North Florida, come on, I couldn't go back into the field and be able to take care of my family.
Absolutely.
In the way that I have been able to as an organizer, unfortunately. And I would love to go back into the field, if we're being honest. But because there's no investment here in the way that it should be. Absolutely. You have to be able to go get this, get your licensure and open your own private practice if you want to be able to have money enough to take care of your family and hold this space for people.
Absolutely.
And it's not in a broad, diverse spectrum where it's in the communities. We should honestly have counseling centers and all of these different community places that we have around the city and the county.
Yeah. I mean,
it would be hard.
Everyone talks about how poor of a county Escambia is. We're not as poor as people think. It's just that money don't trickle down,
Yep.
And my thing is, being a state representative, you're going to have Tallahassee's ear when it comes to those kind of things.
Absolutely.
So I'm at the point now to where I'm making house calls, suicidal ideation calls. When people don't trust the entities that are here, and when you're in bed and you get a call and you're like, hey, Lakeview has a mobile response unit. They'll come out to you. No, I don't want to call Lakeview. I'm on my way.
Yep.
But you have people like that do it out the kindness of, not even, I wouldn't say the kindness of their heart, because it's their calling. But if you had more things, like I just moved from Jacksonville. So Jacksonville has so many resources. They're rich over there. And it just makes me wonder, the people that's currently in the seat, of the state representatives, what the hell are they doing? We are number one in overdose in the state. And yet we only have a 10-bed. I'm laughing, but the shit ain't funny.
It's so real.
We only have a 10-bed detox center that we just got. It's how many people in Pensacola, Escambia County? I don't even want to throw out a number. Y'all know it's more than 10.
Way more.
So, and that's what I really want to get across to people, is that when you have a candidate like Hale running with a mental health background, and when people, it's one of those things, and it's unfortunate, no one cares about mental health until it's at their front door.
Absolutely.
And then when you don't know how bad it is until your loved one is experiencing schizophrenia and those things, and you don't know what the hell to do, and you remember, oh, I saw that guy Jermaine always talking about mental health, let me call him. And I give you the harsh reality of, you got insurance?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's going to be hard. But having someone in a seat like you, who worked in this field, who has an actual heart, and who's not taking that money, and I don't give a damn, they can't do nothing to me, who's actually taking that money for mental health dollars and turning around and putting it in their own foundation, or a foundation connected to them, that can make the little bit of pay that they get from state representatives big. Because you only get paid, what, $18,000 a year?
$18,000 a year, yeah.
The people that represent you on the state level here in this county, the seat that she's running for is $18,000 a year. And I know you. And I know that we could really, really trust you in that seat. What do people have to do to support you right now?
Right now, there are 3 things, actually. 1, volunteer with the campaign. I need people to phone bank. I need people to go out, knock doors with me wherever they are, especially if they're local. Santa Rosa County, Escambia County. Number 2 is make a donation. Starting at $25, that $25 can go a long way. I'm not, bought by huge corporations or, trust and foundations or anything like that. I'm a grassroots person. So whatever starts at 25, get some of your friends to, say, I'm going to match your 25 and just grow from there. That helps me. That helps get the word out that I'm running, so that people know my name, and that I'm able to do the things to actually get out the vote.
Absolutely.
And then the third one is people can host fundraisers for me.
Okay.
So real fun stuff. Be able to just pick a day. I show up, get 5 to 7 friends, or make it as big as you want. And we just throw a fundraiser so that I'm able to get all the materials that I need. And it helps push me through this career of trying to make sure that we have a representative that's a people's representative.
I'm really turning my brains now. Your boy, we might have to put something together, man.
They looked at each other. Yeah.
We're going to have some ideas on that, because my thing is, the people we have in office now have been sitting in that seat for a minute. And, okay, so for those that don't know, I'm going to just give you a breakdown and why getting Hale the victory is so important. So let's say Governor DeSantis wants to write $3 billion for the state in mental health funding. That money goes over to DCF. One thing DCF is not going to do is go from each county and hand that money out. So there's DCF managing entities. There's about 20, 30 in the state. Our DCF managing entity here is Northwest Florida Health System. Shout out CEO Mike Watkins. They do all they can. But that office has the CEO's ear. I met with Mike Watkins. he's a businessman. You know, he cares about the problem, but at the end of the day, dollars and
As
cents.
those administrators,
It's
they
dollars
yeah.
and cents. Like, you know, I was talking about, hey, this is what I want to do for Escambia County. Like, hey, just get with me. You know, I'm sure it's going to work. Get with me. I just need to see the numbers. That's all they care about. And someone in that state representative seat, that's who works directly. You know, Haley will be in a position to pick up the phone and call Mike Watkins. This is what my county needs. You know, we have people in that seat now that are gatekeepers, and they're acting like we're trying to get signed by Death Row Records, and they the only person that knows Suge Knight. I got a homeboy, me and my homeboy met with a current state representative. Man, she was holding her nuts on us. Like, she was letting us know I'm the gatekeeper. You know, and I didn't say anything. I call Mike Watkins right now, but you know, we just let her talk and let her do whatever. At that moment, it let me know, damn, the people that are over the mental health dollars don't have a heart like they say they do when the camera's on.
Right.
I know you got a heart when the camera is off. And that's why we got to do everything in our power to get you in that seat.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So, you running, how are you managing your own mental health? Because again, all those things you're doing, like, you're doing a lot. And then every time I go to the club, I hear your voice on the ones and twos. I'm like, damn, don't this nigga supposed to be like, goddamn, getting ready to do a fundraiser? Like, why is she in the club? I mean, like, you don't sleep. And that's what's up, though, definitely. But managing your family, which is being a mother, is not respected enough. And that's a full-time job in itself. Then you work, and then I know that social work in you kicks in when you really don't want it to. And, you know, all the things that you're doing, how you manage it?
So, shameless plug, Soul Step Solutions. I have my Rhythms of Resilience beat journal.
No,
So,
hold on. Let's talk about that.
affirmation and beat journal.
Talk about that, for real.
So, it's an open format 30-day journal that really just builds your skill and your habit to go writing down positive affirmations for yourself. It could be weekly, daily, however I want people to try to do it daily to build the skill. But then also is a motivational playlisting. And so the way that it's broken down is, you know, you write the song that it is, you write the lyrics that stick out to you, and then, of course, the artist. And you continuously go back to it throughout the day. I have people who it has completely, after they did 2 weeks or so of just going through this journal, continuously doing it, it's changed the way their relationship is to music and the way they use it with their mental health.
Wow.
What I
That's
found,
brilliant.
what I found when I was doing trauma therapy with dual diagnosis people was that using the breakdown of lyrics to ground people, but also to be able to think through some of their own issues and how things related to them, it was a breakthrough for them. It helped them. It made them feel deeper and think deeper to kind of pull together the things that they needed inside of them instead of having to continuously reach for it in other places.
Did you trademark that?
Oh.
You need to do that tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
do it
definitely.
tonight.
Because that's brilliant. For those that don't know, and you and I know, but can you let everyone know what a dual diagnosis is?
Oh, yes. So that is people with a mental health diagnosis as well as having an addiction diagnosis of some sort, alcoholism, anything like that, and then being able to be treated for both of those. It's more reoccurring than people know also.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how often it is, but also just thinking about how the symptoms, the fact that addiction is a symptom.
Absolutely.
And it's not the actual problem.
I laughed because me and your boy went to we spoke to the Pensacola State College women's basketball team. And that was my main thing, talking about how addiction is a symptom.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm just so glad that you touched on that, because my main thing is, and, you know, we all fell victim of it when we was younger. We see somebody on drugs in our family, you know, black family. Oh, that's just your crazy ass Uncle Elroy, his ass on drugs.
Yeah.
No, you know, there's a rooted problem there. We're just seeing the symptoms of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I was at Lakeview, and this is why I miss being in the field sometimes, because I was able to I wanted to hit a demographic that didn't know they needed help as much. And so sometimes it would be women who were in our inpatient rehabilitation facility. But once I did like a psychosocial with them and realized how much trauma they had, and how they kind of like, we got to talk through this.
Right.
Like, you actually do need to deal with this, or you're going to continuously have issues with being able to get your children back. And being able to really confront that with them, I miss being able to be inspiring and creative in the ways that I did that with them. And a lot of the times it happened through music. It's just, music helps. It can be the worst music in the world to you, but Sexy Red might be the thing that helps one of my clients get through.
Yeah, and you know,
I hate to say it.
No, you're right.
Yeah, Glow is me.
Right. No, for real.
Stop overthinking. They can't step to you.
Absolutely.
Like, it's really, it's what we need. It's, you know, the affirmations in it.
I love that. Because I think the biggest part of the reason why I asked you if I'm not going to say that on camera because I don't want nobody to steal your idea and go trademark it. I'm not going to tell you how gold it is. We'll talk off camera about that. But it's so important to journaling. Like, everybody always hits me up like, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I'm looking for therapy. And if you think rent is expensive and try therapy with no insurance every week, my goodness, it's expensive. And I know most people just they go past go and go straight to therapy. But there's little things you can do, like journaling, like listening to music. Those little self-care things, they go in the long run. And you was able to package it disguise it, and next thing they know, like, damn, I don't need therapy. I feel better.
Which goes back to what the first question was for me, was how am I keeping my mental health together?
Thank you. That's what it
when I'm doing all this. I'm using tools from that journaling, right? Today, I actually sat with my two opponents and at lunch with another crew of people who invited just us. It was very cool. It was chill. But afterwards, I was like, I need to journal. This is what I need to continuously be ready afterwards, because it's something about just putting it out on paper or typing it out in your notes app that just being able to let it off, get it out, because either way, I battle social anxiety. I've been battling, I think I've talked about it with you and other people for years. I've been battling social anxiety. Not only recently, I take that back. About 6 years ago, I really realized how much my social anxiety made me fall deeper into drinking even more. And I was like, that can't be my crutch anymore. I have to do what I can. So now it's just wine for me as much as possible. And I have to fully just confront the fact that I get anxious when I'm around anybody, but I'm a very confident person.
Right.
So I have to fall into that and do what I need to do to, like, boost my own self-esteem, boost my own self-confidence, to be able to walk in rooms and be powerful the way that I know I am.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to tell you why. Because you are the prime example by you saying that. Like, I would have never known if you didn't tell me that you battle with social anxiety. You know, the activism that you've done, everything that you've done is social.
Yes.
You know, like, you was a champion for social change, and the best way to do that is be social. But when the smile, the mask, there's always something behind it. And you just can't look at a person and just because they look okay, feel okay, don't mean that they're okay. Yeah. And so that is so dope that you even shared that with everybody. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you're so relatable as a candidate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure your opponents, I'm sure they're nice people.
Yeah.
I keep it at that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're nice people, man. But I'm going to tell you what. When you have a convicted fella running for the highest office in the land, and he's letting you know who I am, he goes so much so to say, hey, black people, hey, you niggas over there, I fucking hate you, but vote for me. And black people like, we're going to do it.
He might give us some money.
He might give us some money, whatever the case, you know. Ooh. And they're going to do it. As much as we hate that, it did open the door for real people to win, you know. Yeah. And I love how real you are, because I don't think you have a fake bone in your body, so you can't be fake. You know what I mean?
No,
I think this everything is timing, and I think it's right now. The time is right. Mm-hmm. The office is right. And right now, man, we are begging for a win as black people in Escambia County. And you're going to be that poster child for it. Do you have an initiative for mental health?
So what I actually am looking into and building out, thinking really deeply into, going back to what I stated before, is how we expand the way we view mental health so that we have initiative and programming brought back to Northwest Florida.
Okay.
Specifically for that. I really want to see us really implement the strategic planning for what restorative justice can look like in our communities. We used to do, and I don't know if this ages me and you for real, but when we used to have our peer mentors, but also peer counselors who were able to do de-escalation and things like that in the middle schools. And then some high schools. And somewhere along the way, those things kind of stopped. But I feel like we have to be able to empower kids again to be able to talk and step up and be the ones to say, okay, we need to do something about that. So I really am pushing for initiatives and possibly policy that implements that and makes sure that we're investing back into those things in our schools. And then, of course, there's just not enough dollars that is being put out here to make sure that we have a full, complete, like, bodily mental health type of structure in Northwest Florida, but throughout the whole state. Right, it's bleak. It's just not enough at all. So really advocating for more dollars for all of those things and those initiatives that I see people doing. I'm looking at Abraham Scully, who is just completely revolutionizing thinking about how teenagers are spoken with and how they develop and really think about their mental health right now, and how phenomenal it would be to be able to give him the dollars so that he can pattern that in so many other places.
I laugh when you say that because, Abraham Scully doing amazing work. Sunshine had me on Sunshine's Corner.
Yeah. Hey, mama.
Hey, what's up, Sunshine? And Chip Simmons was on there.
With you?
Yeah, Councilman Wiggins and her son was on there as well. And it was about mental health. Oh, man, she asked me a question. It was like a slow pitch across the plate about the money in Escambia County. And I started to talk about the opioid abatement fund. And so they put out the RFPs, which made it impossible for grassroots mental health organizations like myself and what we're doing here, me and Yabui, and Abraham Scully and whoever else is doing things out there in mental health. They made it impossible for us to get the money. And, and I made the perfect quote, and I don't care, I stand on it. They are boosting salaries and throwing pennies at the problem while the problem still exists. And that's why Escambia County is number one for opioid overdose and whatever else we're number one for per capita. When you see young men, and I hate to say it, but majority young black men riding and doing drive-bys and, even going so far to jump off a bridge to get away.
Yep.
That's a red flag that there's some. Do you think how much of positive mental health can turn the tide on gun violence?
So much.
Exactly.
So much.
I'll let you expand on that.
No, and we all know and we can agree that more investment into these impoverished communities is going to turn the tide on our gun violence because we see who it is that's committing it. We see that they need more resources to keep them out of the way of doing what it is that they're doing and getting involved in the ways that they're getting involved with. Yes, people make choices, but for us to be sitting here watching an epidemic of gun violence in a city that we're quiet and sleepy and we're this, but we're growing. Yeah, we're growing and we have a growing issue. And instead of pushing people into the resources and getting the money back out into the places where we could have prevented by having positive mental health things put into place for these children, we just going to see it continue to grow. They're being pushed into one spot.
Right.
And so the violence in those spots are going to continue to flourish, and eventually they're going to spill out even more.
Absolutely. And then when it spill out, that's when it's going to become.
And
that's when the
now all of a
gonna
sudden
come.
it's a national issue.
It's an issue. And I remember Chip Simmons had a round table there, and he had everybody there, every elected official on gun violence. He wouldn't let me talk, so I went and grabbed the mic. And, you know, it was my first, like, hey, guess what, bitches, I moved back.
Not the pop out.
Yeah.
So you got to pop out and show. Okay, all right.
It was almost like the David Ruffin on the Temptation movie when he grabbed it. I know you want to. I wouldn't have grabbed that mic like that, but I told him, I was like, it wasn't what they were expecting, and it was the topic again was gun violence. And I talked about how I had intermittent explosive disorder. And I said, so let's really break that down and talk about mental health, because no one has said anything about mental health and mental illness when involving gun violence. So intermittent explosive disorder, I can try to explain it to you on a non-clinical level, is that say someone step on my shoe, I'm going to treat them like they spit in my face. And then I'm going to get so angry, I'm going to overreact on the situation that didn't cause for that reaction. Then when I sit with that, I'm going to soak, dangerously soak for a long time. Then I'm going to come back and over-apologize to you and get on your nerves. Now, when I got kicked out of Escambia for fighting. All I did was fight. Sometimes gun violence myself. Wow, yeah. I'm just thinking about it all. And during that time, I didn't even know there was something wrong with me. And the moment I got a mental evaluation, and it came back that I got intermittent explosive disorder. And when I get booked out of town and to go speak, I tell the story all the time. I call my brother, at least like the biggest influence in my life. And I say, hey, man, these folks say I got three. At that time, I didn't even know what to call them. I said, I got three things. They say I got bipolar, intermittent explosive disorder. He said, I ain't even never heard that shit. Don't listen to them. They're just trying to get money out you. I said, well, let me read you the Google definition of intermittent explosive disorder. He got quiet. He said, spot on. You need to do whatever the fuck they tell you to do.
Whatever they told you to do, you go do that.
You need to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So, like I told them at the round table, now imagine what I went on to do was I got in therapy. I took medication for a year. Then I built a toolbox with my therapist. When things happen, what I need to do to calm myself down. Now, if I never would have known that I had something that was off chemically in me to make me act like that, I could have easily been one of those guys to jump off a bridge because my anger would have made me act out in a way. Now, what if one of those guys had intermittent explosive disorder that they don't know and made them act in a way that, and if we had the resources here for education and prevention, to educate it, to break the stigma, to have them open up enough to say, okay, let me go get an evaluation. And then have the funds there to help those that can't help, that can pay for therapy and get them a sliding scale, they get therapy.
That right there.
And then help them with medication. And then they're starting to build their toolbox. So when they're in 850, sorry, Bill, because I know there's no violence there. I'm just throwing that out there. When they're anywhere, paparazzis, chasers, someone step on their shoe, it doesn't become an 8-month feud where there's blood in the streets. They have the de-escalation tools to say, you good.
Exactly.
And that's just one diagnosis because it's off. Your brain is off chemically. So when you have bipolar 1, bipolar 2, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, you're not thinking rationally. And when you're chemically not balanced, you're going to make irrational thoughts like, I'm finna shoot this nigga because he looked at me a little bit too long. So.
No, big facts. I just thinking back also, around like living here, being here my whole life, Pensacola baby, right? And watching the rise of gun violence and also watching how culturally things changed in the way that we used to have hoods. We used to, uptown east side, we used to have people fight a little bit type things. And then for me, 2008 was when a switch flipped. DJ got murdered. And after that, and I was coming out of high school, and I feel like after that, was when I started seeing people start really pulling into their own little small groups, and they were scared of bloodshed happening everywhere. When before it used to be, we just don't want nobody getting jumped. We don't want no brawls.
Yeah.
But it was people literally scared, and that just carried on for years and years up until now. And then we would just see violence all the time, even from people my age going up until, right? Of just carrying on, just not making it. And I'm thinking about how when things happen, we didn't get social workers who came out to do grief counseling with us and things like that. They came out for kids who had car accidents. If a child, it was a car accident or a kid drowned, things like that, to the different high schools where those kids were and those students were, we would send counselors out. But why wasn't it happening for those gun violence deaths?
And while you're talking about that, because it segues right into the ACEs scores.
Oh, talk about the ACEs scores.
I would like you to talk about the ACEs scores.
Because my ACEs score is...
Okay, so let's explain to people, because, you know, me and you, we talking another language to them. So let's tell them what... Matter of fact, this is the It's Clinical podcast. I'm Jermaine J. Williams. For those that just joined, I got the next state representative, Hale, DJ Hale, whatever you want to call her, but she's running like hell right now. And she's about to educate us on advanced child... Go ahead. You do it.
Oh, my goodness. Now you made me forget what the thing stands for.
Advanced child... Fuck. I forgot. Because I was on Sunshine and I forgot.
It's really a trauma score.
Pretty much what
it's
it
a
is.
Trauma score, and it's what childhood experiences.
Yeah.
Childhood experiences.
Advanced childhood as... I just had it and I forgot
I'm
it
not
again.
going to Google it.
Don't
Y'all
even worry
Google
about
it.
Google it.
But I
ACEs
want y'all
score.
to know, when you go through the ACEs, I took my ACEs before I finished my BSW, my bachelor's in social work. I was at a really low moment because I was organizing around the city. People's telling us we was crazy for organizing and trying to get police relations and stuff together. And then I also was dealing with my own personal things. Shout out to my ex-husband. We've gotten through. But I was dealing with my own personal stuff. And I took an ACEs, and it goes through different adverse childhood experiences.
There you go.
It goes through different adverse childhood experiences. What were things that, if you were a child that maybe experienced houselessness or not having lights on or being a witness to domestic violence, things like that. And my score had me shook. Because I hadn't thought of myself in that way, of having experienced so many of these things and what my outcomes could be for my own life, because I've always intentionally fought. But also a symptom of trauma is to be an overachiever.
Look at
we
me
don't
and you
talk
like,
enough
oh my
about
God.
that.
Yeah. Lord have... Hey, there you go, you boy. You wanted to know earlier. There you go.
A symptom of trauma can be an overachiever and just being a super independent person. It's a trauma response. I got it. It is what it is. But it brought me down so bad for about like 2 or 3 days, honestly. I'm a Beyonce this stuff. So I'm like, I got a few days and I got to get over it because I keep going. It's a trauma response.
It is. It is.
But
No, for real.
it's a positive trauma response for me and the people that need my help. But it is that if I get burnt out, I get burnt out. That's how I've used to live my life.
Yeah.
I don't live it like that no more. But yeah, I went through and I looked at the score and I was like, man, I've experienced all these things. And I have people that I'm serving right now, because at this time I was just doing advocacy work. I'm like, I have people I'm serving right now who have matching scores to me. How can I really serve them if I'm, trying to figure this out myself and doing all of these things?
Right.
And I found solace in being able to be the person that I needed as a child or as a teenager, as a young woman, and becoming that person that I needed then because of that score.
Wow. And anybody out there that's you can Google ACEs scores, and it's free. You could take your ACEs score. And if you
don't be dismayed by it.
Please don't. it's don't hang your head or nothing because it's really here to help. And if you rate a certain way, there's, because correct me if I'm wrong, but trauma is the root of the mental illness, correct?
Right.
So if you have a high percentage of you having a mental illness, if that ACE score is high enough, I took my ACE score. I can't remember the score because I didn't give a damn because I already knew I had 3 diagnoses.
It's like I
already know I got a lot going on. So but now here's something you touched on something, and I really want to talk about that trauma responses. Everybody says when a couple gets together, the first thing they should talk about is their love language.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree.
Really?
I think the first thing they need to talk about is their trauma response.
Oh, no, I'm with you where you're right.
Because that would save a marriage.
It will.
That would save a marriage.
Oh, my goodness, it will.
So can you break down what a trauma response is?
Yeah, so a trauma response is in the ways that we respond to triggers. Right? Different triggers that may have already been foundationalized or set up because of different traumas we had. So one thing for me is not anymore. I can deal with it better. But men raising their voice. Men raising their voice used to put me over an edge where I completely shut down. I'm not saying anything. It could be anywhere. It could be, I think I was a basketball manager for a little while, so you can imagine. And I had a coach who just got really frustrated at something. And he may not have even been directed towards me. I know I was like I was a college freshman. He wasn't directing at me or anything, I don't think, but I was just in the vicinity. He was so angry and just raised his voice yelling about things. I completely shut down and just froze. That was my response to that because of what I had to deal with in the past when men raised their voices. If I acted out, if I didn't freeze, that meant that I was going to be hurt. If I talked back, I might get slapped or something. That was my response in that way. And I dealt with having to break that response for so many years. After a while, I finally am like, give a fuck. Yell all you want to. Are you done? Because now I got something to say. But it's me intentionally. So those responses you also have to intentionally work on.
Absolutely.
And it can even come up in the way like, I'm thinking about even in sexual ways, right? But like if somebody grabs you in a certain way that may remind you of a trauma that you experienced.
Absolutely.
So for some people, it might be, I went and I fought back. Or it could be, that fight, flight, or freeze. I shut down. I decided to act in this way. And then there's some of those like longevity, those long type of trauma responses, like being overachievers in the way that like somebody makes me feel like I'm pushed into a corner and I can't be independent and I need them for everything. So the way that I respond is by being spiteful and saying, oh, fuck, I'm going to do whatever I want because I was put into positions when I was younger in my childhood where I was backed into corners and was made to feel like I could not have any independence. And so the way that I was able to respond and protect myself then was to still figure out a way. In whatever way it was. As long as it wasn't hurting nobody, as long as I figured it out, it was what it was. It could have been just trying to get something to eat.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
And like you hear a lot of men. One thing I fucking hate. Two things I hate, especially on social media. Light skin versus dark skin, black men versus black women. Fucking hate it. But, I hear a lot of men say, women have, she got fucking attitude. A lot of that is a trauma response, And I don't think the women know it's a trauma response. Definitely know that the man don't know it's a trauma response. And if our people could get educated on what a trauma response is, how they come about, and like me as in a relationship, I just, no, I ain't perfect. Shit.
Hurt.
But, we're trained in this work and in this field. So, I could sit down and talk about, hey, when I do this, this is why. And then they open up and talk about it. So next time when I'm a dirty motherfucker, I know why I am. And it's not Jermaine that's the dirty motherfucker. it's Jermaine taking on the weight of that past relationship
Right.
or that abusive father or that whatever, fill in the blank. And I'm like, okay, she's having a trauma response. I'm going to give her some time instead of taking it personal, knowing I ain't no dirty motherfucker because I just got the shower,
Escalate.
and turn
Hurt.
around and say something,
Yeah.
And I think, it's way more important than a love language or my god brother said something. Shout out to Bobby Booker. He said the first thing,
I love Bobby.
Bobby. The first thing he said, the first thing I asked the lady on the first day, are you healed from your past? I said, let me write that shit down.
Write it down.
Let me write that down because I tell you, like, again, that's the phrase I go by, man. You take care of your mental health, you'll figure out 80% of the problems that's against you.
And that just makes me think a lot about, like, trauma-informed care is not just on institutions. It's not just on clinicians. It's something that's on us as a society. Like, we can be trauma-informed in our relationships. Yeah, just dating other people. My fiance, he already knows once I get to, I need my house to be kind of clean. At least in some sort of ways. Like, it's already hard. We got 2 boys. So,
Oh, yeah.
the house might be a mess sometimes. And I'm always running around. There's equipment thrown everywhere. But once I settle down, he's like, let me get this laundry together. Because he knows the things that I need in order to feel good. And part of that is part of his trauma-informed care for me. He knows what it is that I need in that moment that's not going to make me spiral mentally sometimes. And it'll just be those small things. And then all of a sudden, I'm soaking in the bed. I don't want to leave the rest of the house. I don't want to go through nowhere in the rest of the house or go outside anywhere until it's something that I'm getting paid for. Like,
Right.
he notices those signs in me as my partner. And it's really on us to make sure that we're sharing those things too, and meeting in the middle. It's the same way. I hate to go back to talking about running for office, but this is
we
the
need
way
to go back to that.
I really think about being a representative too, is that we feel like we, the little people, but we are like, we're the constituents. We should be able to have an ear. We should be able to know what it is that, and be able to tell you what it is that you need to represent us in. Even if we don't have all of the words to be able to tell you what policy it needs to be, how you should vote, anything like that, what appropriations we need, you should be able to come back to us and tell us something. We have to be able to meet in the middle somewhere, and we have to be ready to, like, give our voice to that and support.
Yeah.
And so it's not always just one side or the other, even in relationships and in society and in families. Like, my children know they need to come talk to me. They start feeling some sort of way. I don't mean to give away too much of my oldest child's business or anything, but he thinks a lot. He's in middle school now, and middle schoolers are demons. They're going through all of this different things. But he witnessed another little boy get bullied because of his weight. And he came home and he just was like devastated for himself. He was like, that really did something to me, and it just made me feel some type of way, because I think about when people call me too skinny and things like that, like how it hurts me so much. And like, I just need to sit here and cry about it for a second. And then I'm like, well, after he's cried about it and we've worked it out, like, how can you stand up for that little boy? How can we make this better in this instance? And so how are we seeing that on individual and family and in organizations and in groups, and then in the big societal way? How are we doing that same exact thing of, like, meeting in that way where we're commenting and explaining our feelings so that people know the signs for us and know what we need to do, and being able to provide solutions together? That makes sense.
I am
said a
sitting
lot.
here with the next state representative. Listen, y'all go vote for this lady, dog. Hey, yeah, it makes sense. I love it, and that's why I wanted you on here, because, again, and look, I'm looking at the comments now. If y'all have any questions, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for commenting. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have any questions for the Madam State Representative here, please ask them. And any mental health questions, between the two of us, we could come up with something, because God knows Escambia County ain't going to help you. But we're trying to change that, and that's why she's running. Man, some people just put the scam in the Escambia. I would say this. the things you've done in your past have prepared you for this moment.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can hang your one hat on to say, to say, this here is why I deserve to be the representative of District 2, state representative? I know that was a hard question. That was a loaded question. And for somebody who has that many commas, you ain't finna pick no one thing. I know I got one thing, but I don't know if I want to bring it up right now.
You have one thing for me?
Yeah, but I ain't gonna bring it up right now.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it'll help or hurt you, but it's my favorite thing. I'll tell you about it later.
I think it'll help. Are you talking about the bridge?
No.
No, you're not talking about the bridge. Okay, we're
I'm talking about what the awesome foursome did.
Oh, man.
I don't want to bring that up. So, but go ahead.
Oh, that's good times too. No, I think, and if I sum it up into this is the one thing and the one reason why you could trust me to be the state representative that you need is that I'm consistent. People know for the last 10 years and going forward that they're going to see me in the streets. Mm-hmm. They're going to see me in places that you probably wouldn't expect to see any of your representative or politicians. I'm not a politician. I'm an advocate. I'm an organizer. I'm someone who loves coaching and empowering people. That's my thing. And I'm always going to consistently step up to be a voice if I have to. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have any fear.
We know that.
I don't have any fear. And I know who I'm connected to. And I'm intentional about that. I'm surrounded by greatness. I love getting on Facebook. This is a side note. I love getting on Facebook and seeing when you post different stuff, and I'm like, that's my dog. Yes, let's go.
You know what I mean? Like,
what?
And I tell you, and this is why, like, you've done so much to help me. Like, you always, first off, and this just me, and I'm just, me, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna say it. It's just like, we all sometimes feel like we don't get the credit we deserve for some of the things we've done, but you have consistently have said, like, Jermaine has been a huge activist here, whether you like it or not, and I'm coming behind him, and I always appreciate that. But I'm not talking about that. When you saw me making my documentary, you called me and you pledged $100. You said, I want to see this. This documentary is important, and you pledged $100. You don't know. That helped save my doc. It was you and Aaron Watson. And, it reminds me of when Spike Lee ran out. And I'm not comparing myself to Malcolm X. I love to, though. Like, that's my dog, for real. But when Spike Lee ran out of money, making Malcolm X, all these great figures, Janet Jackson, everybody just came in and gave millions of dollars. I ran out of money making that documentary. And you and Aaron Watson and all kind of people that I can't think of, and I forgot you, I'm sorry, just came in and just started kicking out money. And that documentary went on to win 4 awards around the world about addiction. And I don't even know if you remember doing that. Because you're looking at me like, I did that, nigga. Yeah, you did.
I did.
Yeah, you did. And because if you go look at that documentary, it says special thanks and your name is on there.
Yeah.
And, so that's how I know, everything that you're saying, it's not bullshit. And I personally vouch for everything she's saying. And I thought it was important to have you on here first because, again, if you just joining us, the state representative, I get buku calls for mental health, for substance abuse. Can you do this? Can you do that? I'm only one man. I don't have a nonprofit. I don't make no money on it. Sometimes I'm up all night talking to someone from suicide, whatever. And certain things I just can't do. And if we have the right person in that seat, we can get the money that you guys call me about. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, I don't have insurance. And I'm like, okay, I see what I could do. Sometimes I have partners around the state and we move mountains and getting people down to Boca Raton or somewhere like that have that has a scholarship bed or something like that. But that's not going to work for all the people that live in the Scabia County. So the Hale won't, 10-bed detox facility won't either. So when you have a state representative there that's out there trying to get the mental health dollars, how much money have y'all seen mental health-wise come through here? Because I know for certain there's some people that's watching now that have called me and looking for therapists, but don't have the money, or their child is going through this. What can they do in Lakeview? I'm sorry, but Lakeview
you
has...
gotta apologize to me. They cut, I just full transparency, love Lakeview Down. That was my starts, but they cut the program that I actually worked for.
I believe it.
The program is completely gone.
I believe it.
And we had to outsource to a whole nother. I was Advocate of the Year back in 2018 for
Samson.
for Florida sexual violence and the coalition.
Boy, you must got some heavy wood over there, because I know all them plaques and them trophies got that thing leaning like this, boy. Because that was gonna be my next question, that we'll move to Social Worker of the Year, but they cut the program.
They cut the program because of funding, but it left a hole. Like, we have volunteer people going out to sit with victims of crime, victims of sexual assault, and you would be, you probably wouldn't be amazed to know, but the numbers of how many people are sexually assaulted between Escambia and Santa Rosa County and actually reported and go to the hospital, people wouldn't really be able to quantify. Like, I've had 3 or 4, and I'm the only person holding the crisis line down type of situation. The crisis line was doubling as a suicide hotline for victims of trauma who knew who to call, you know? So it's things like that. And to have, like, those types of things slashed, it creates a huge void.
Absolutely. And
in our community.
When I was over, I got certified in mental health in Jacksonville. A lot of my ties with the DCF manager entity that I explained earlier are with the Jacksonville DCF manager entity. That's how I was able to get the ear of Secretary Harris, who runs DCF, and I addressed DCF. I've done so many things. It wasn't because of the Escambia County, but every time I was over there, and I get numbers on certain things, those reports we get, my eyes, Duval is paying me, but my eyes go to Escambia County first.
Yeah.
And when my job send me to go talk to, whoever has the money, those gatekeepers, I'm like, hey, I know what I'm here to talk about real quick. You see Escambia County right here, and just advocating like hell. Like you're running like hell. So it's just like, to me, for Escambia County, and this is what everyone is shocked at, especially over in Duval, down in Nassau County, the Central Florida area, Orange County, everybody is so shocked about Pensacola. Because as it to be such as metropolitan, populated, we have the mental health system of a rural area.
That's it right there.
It's scary. You would think that we have one stoplight the way our mental health system is. You could talk to your current seat holders for that. And that's why it's important to get Haley and Hale. Talk to your county commissioners, too. Tell them I sent you. Social Worker of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come about? Tell us about that.
I'm Social Worker of the Year for the state of Florida. Wow. So I'm part of the National Association of Social Workers. We have a Northwest Florida unit, which stretches Pensacola over into like Destin area, Okaloosa. And what happened was, shout out to Lauren Anzaldo, Dr. Anzaldo, Scott Satterwhite's wife.
Okay.
Lauren and Julie Patton, they wrote letters saying that they thought I should be Social Worker of the Year because of my national work, my organizing work, and how I always brought it back home. And still worked with people individually, because I'm like you, right? I'm a hood social worker. People call me right now, and I am going to check my messages. So if you have been calling or texting me, I promise I had a sick baby. I got you.
And it's partially my fault as well, my bad.
But, people, single mothers and just families and people, they always reach out to me. I don't talk about it, right? But people talk. People talk. Yeah, she helped me do this, and that. And so it was Julie and Dr. Anzaldo specifically who wrote letters and was like, this should be our Social Worker of the Year for Northwest Florida. So I'm honored. I'm at UWF. I graduated from here. I got Social Worker of the Year in my unit. This is exciting. You get each social worker from each unit, a Social Worker of the Year goes into a big pot. And the board looks through each of their resumes and the letters of recommendation for them. And somehow or another, this board was so excited to name me as the social worker of the year, based off of even looking at all these other amazing social workers that got this honor throughout the state of Florida.
Wow.
So, and I mean, I'm honored. And of course, I almost got in trouble because I went and I was like, I'm from the East Side. I don't know nothing about all this crying y'all doing. Just kidding. But it's an honor because it goes back to the reason why I became a social worker in the first place. Everything that was said in the letter about the ways that I've organized our communities, and I've stood fast on making sure that nobody ever put fear in my heart or bought me. That was all part of that. And that's part of the ethics of being a social worker, so that I could be a shining light and actually be a representative of that. And that's what that was. Being a social worker of the year is being a representative of what it means to be a social worker, regardless of where I'm working, whether I'm working with individuals, with families, with organizations, or nationally doing policy work. Just being able to be a representative and living my life in that way. Like,
that's why y'all got to send them damn $25 plus, dog. Like, y'all got to send that money, man. Like, we need her. Like, I mean, here's the thing. Really quick, I do want to say, Jacqueline, the name of it is ACEs Scores. Your boy, you mind? You did it? Okay. All right, my bad. Your boy be on this shit, dog. But it's in the link. I want to challenge everybody who's watching this to go take your ACEs Scores and see what you got. What a great start, just to get a sense of your own trauma. And then, I'm always open to talk about it if you want to talk about it. I want to say this. Fuck that. Let me say this. Alex Andrade has been in office for how long?
Since 2018.
2018. Mm-hmm. The fuck has he done for you? Like, this is me talking. I'm not. Everything that's being said is on me. Like, it's 1,000% on me. All of his great followers send your hate mail to my DM. What has he done? There's a lot of people in this race right now. Some come from overprivileged areas. Well, if there's another lady in the mix, I don't even know her name, but I read up on her. If her family had mental health issues, they have more than enough to pay out of pocket, let alone insurance. Alex Andrade ain't even, have y'all ever seen him? I didn't. I just saw him for the first time. Here we have somebody that's one of us, our own. We here on the she is the coach, has been for a while. While you was sleeping, you didn't even know she was working for you, and it's still working for you without even trying to run for office. But yet here she is running for office, and now she's going to work harder for you, getting you the mental health dollars, or trying to get you the mental health dollars, whether she gets in office or not. She's already been doing the work. It's not when I get there I'm going to do. She's fucking doing it and has been doing it for the last 10 years. If that's not worth $100 to $1,000, well, what the fuck is? Because if you're getting ready to get dressed and go to the club, I might meet you there. But one thing about it is, if you plan on spending $200 at the bar, take half of that shit and give it to Haley.
The link is in the comments.
The link is in the comments. I got the best engineer behind the camera. That goddamn your boy be on it. The link is in the comments, man. So let's me and your boy gonna get our head together. We're gonna throw a fucking hood fundraiser. Trap boys, bring that shit out.
Come on.
Trap boys, bring that shit out. You want to flex on these girls, dog? Come throw some bands in this Run Like Hell account. Like, throw your money where it counts, man. Like, I tell you what, some of the most hardcore killers is tired of this fucking violence out here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You want that kind of change. You want somebody with the power to do it. Something that our county, our city, and this panhandle has never had. Someone like us that come from this generation that could go in there and that could talk to the governor with the respect he don't deserve, and can fuck around, get on 107.3 and play the most ratchetest Sexy Red song you ever heard. That's what the fuck we need, dog. How bad do you want change? How bad do you want it? $5 if you ain't got it. Because I know we got a poor county. I know times it's hard. But you know in your heart how much money you got. $1, if that's what you got, I'm turning to a preacher now. God knows your heart. Will a man steal from God? God knows your heart. Look, man, give what you can, man, because we need it. I'm telling you, it's gonna work out in the long run. And if you ain't got no money, come down and volunteer on the phone bank.
Please.
Come knock on doors. Do whatever you got to do.
I just need people to go out to events with me. I'm ready to. I got to be squad deep.
Yeah.
I need people to see that we care. It's so important. Like, we care about this, and that's why this run is about everybody. Yeah, it's my name, Run Like Hale, whatever. Nothing I've ever done has only been about me. But you know that about me.
Absolutely.
I just want everybody else to know. I know sometimes people are like, once you get involved in politics and you're out of touch and that. I'm like, I done been through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen things, and I've been on both sides of all of this. And what I want to do is make sure that we have a legacy for ourselves right here in all of this. And we have to continue building that legacy. It shouldn't feel bleak and hopeless all the time for us. Every time we look up at somebody dying or something like that, like what can we do about what we have to do right now?
Absolutely. And, you know, Killer Mike got a standing ovation at the BET Awards on Sunday when he said the quote, when you go, first off, he said, you know, voting for the national election is cool, but your local state representatives,
All politics are local.
county commissioners, you know, and all those things. And then he said the most important thing that I said, if that ain't DJ Hale, I don't know what it is. He said, if you go to the ballot box and you don't like what you see, well, you run your damn self. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing you to your damn self. This is DJ Hale. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you the last word.
Last words. I'm not a person to, I'm a doer. I don't talk too much. Yes, please, seriously, reiterating that, like, please support. I do need your support. I need y'all love and blessings. This would be for absolutely no reason. But I know that there's a reason behind it. So just visit my website. It's votemorrissette.com. And then also, if you want to support Soul Step Solutions, I know we didn't talk a lot about it, but my mental health wellness company, it also needs to be a part of the movement.
We could go a little further for a little bit. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about Soul Step.
Uninterrupted. Let me show you what I'm finna do. I'm finna back away from the mic. Go ahead.
No, Soul Step Solutions is being able, we're creatively going into intervention work, right? It doesn't have to be super clinical. I don't need to diagnose anyone. I just need you to be able to talk. What I found out doing national organizing and also doing therapy work was that not enough people tell their story. And it's blocking them. It is completely blocking their heart. It's blocking their mind because they're not getting it out. They need to be able to be expressive. Whether it be something for, today this is what happened and I'm not journaling, I just got to talk it out to somebody. Or it's, I have to tell the story of what happened to me 20 years ago. It helps. It helps, and so that's what Soul Step Solutions is there for. I have brought on a partner, Lisa Brown, who is a cook, this egg roll lady, but what she is doing listening sessions while cooking a meal. Book with Lisa. And if you need me and Lisa there because you're like, you listened well, then that's what we're doing. We are doing those sessions. Lisa will have books on deck, and you can also book with me. It's low cost. So it's not, I'm not trying to make a huge salary off of it until one day I will, because I want it to support me, and that's why I'm investing in Soul Step. But it is so important to me that we get that barrier to going into mental health interventions, whether it's clinical things, getting people the pathway into that, or folks who have been doing it for a long time and they just need that maintenance work. That's what I'm there for. That's what Soul Step is there for.
And see, this is the dangerous thing when you say, okay, let's just talk about that a little bit further because we finna keep going a little bit more. Because it's one thing I do got to ask you because of your background for social change. I hate the fucking word active. It's such a terrible.
I don't like it that much either. Glad we're on the same page.
But your work for social change, your mental health background, and all the things that you're doing currently. Black stigma. regarding mental health in the Escambia County alone. Everybody else have their own thing.
Yeah.
How bad is it here, number one? Well, what is it? What is it, number one? How bad is it, in your opinion? And how can we break it?
So, Black stigma, historically in the Black community, is that, oh, they just got a few issues and we just kind of push that to the side. Or we don't go tell white folks our business. We're not telling them people on the couch our business. It's a stigma around that. And then if people are open and they start expressing themselves and their trauma or their mental health issues, then we stigmatize them and say, oh, no, we don't need to be around that person because they just got too much going on. That is absolutely something we are still doing. And it's worse, I feel like, because of social media, so it's more widespread. So someone can go on Facebook Live and they can tell their story, and they have brothers, cousins, everybody telling them, stop telling people all your business, stop doing this and that, when they really did need to get it out, or they needed someone else to be able to hear their story. So that stigma is part of it. It is absolutely an issue in Escambia County. Even though we have done, I applaud the work that you have done, the work of all of the Black mental health advocates, Antonia, the Roysters, Abraham, Swanita, everybody just being out here, being a face of what it could look like for progress when it comes to mental health and clinical work. But we still have a long ways to go. Because even, I think back to this all the time, domestic violence, right? I remember there was a post a girl made, and she was like, what all things have been thrown at y'all? Because I've had this, and that thrown at me when he's gotten mad at me. And then it's the joke about I hate that joke about being between the washer and the dryer and touching every wall, all of those things like that. I'm like, we shouldn't be normalizing domestic violence in this way.
Right.
And I remember making a comment and just being like, if this is something that has really affected y'all, you could reach out to such and such. And I got cussed the fuck out. It was, don't nobody need no domestic violence calls. Don't nobody need to talk to a trauma counselor. It's just a thing that happens, whatever. I'm like, that's not normal.
Damn.
It's not normal. And so I think, but what it is that we have to be culturally active in saying that that's not normal. Like, we have to be active in saying it's not okay for somebody to choke you out just because they're upset with something you said. Or you expressed your feelings and then that's what happened. It's not okay that you were suicidal and then people came around and told you don't have nothing to be suicidal about.
I was just going to add that on because my biggest thing with the Black... Shit, you just gave us a whole bunch of reasons.
I know.
But suicide
really
pisses me off.
We don't understand it enough. We need so much more.
I took the top tier, like highest level calls for 988 suicide calls out of Duval. They came across the state. So, I was the hardest ones, people with guns to their head. During that time, I was like, my coworkers and shit, my supervisors, they were looking at me really crazy because I would get off a 2-hour call and everybody's clapping and they're like, take a break. No, I'm gonna take this next one. And I just go. And it didn't affect me because it's just like, when you're suicidal yourself, what you know what that person is going through. So what really made me mad is when people like, just pray about it. I love the Lord too, and the Lord have gave people like me and you talent, so He don't have to work as hard. That's why we're here. Because everything we're doing is just, it ain't nothing special we're doing. These are gifts we got, and He gave it to us. I never forget. This is when I got introduced into suicide gone wrong. I was like one of the best. This was before I became certified, and I just had that. I want to do this because I was in my sobriety, and I was just finished gospel rapping and all these things. And this is what I wanted to do. And so I was going through my training and getting certified. I was working at Amazon in Jacksonville. Now, There's a deadly war in Jacksonville going on between Young and Ace and Fulio, and Fulio
Yeah.
just died and everything, got killed. At that time, there's a guy who was really targeted. I'm not gonna get into everything, but it was all in that drama. So the way Amazon works, we don't have this type of Amazon facility here. Like Mobile has one, but I worked at Amazon for like 7 years, and I moved my way up to the hiring department. So many people wanted to work for Amazon. Like the building is right here, the line went around.
Ooh.
So what I would do is to help curve that. I would go out to the line and start getting people's ID, their Social Security,
Yeah.
and start getting those things. So me and a coworker would do that. A couple days before this event happened, I got demoted. And I was fucking pissed. Like I knew everything about Amazon. So,
That makes sense.
and so I got demoted. The next day, one of the rappers that did somebody in that war, somebody seen them out there. They called them killers. Broad daylight, they walked right to the front of that Amazon hiring facility and lit them up. And I would have been standing right there. My coworker, she was an older white lady. Race doesn't matter. I'm just telling
Yeah.
you what she was. Well off. She lived on the outskirts of Jacksonville. Really nice house, but she was going through her own mental issues. She had mental illness, and she knew I was going through that. And at this time, I was just prescribed Zoloft, and I got demoted because of my IED. Somebody tried me, and they
Got you.
So that's why I got demoted. But anyhow, so when this happened, she was so close to the bullets that the glass coming off the building got her
Oh
in the
my
face.
gosh.
It was bad. She began to spiral bad after that. And you know how that can be. So she would call me every other day for 2 weeks, ready to die by suicide. And I would talk her down, and, it was just in me for these suicide calls. This one time she called, I said, I'm gonna just change my approach. I'm gonna let her do all the talking. I'm just gonna listen. So I just listened to her, and we talked. And then, she was like, hey, this weekend, you and your son, y'all come out to my lake and we just go fishing. I'm like, yeah, that's a bet. Call me. I'm gonna come out there. We gonna come out there. So a week went by, I ain't hear from her. I'm just thinking like, what none. So I get this call on my phone. Now she has close ties to Pensacola. That's another thing we clicked on. She's from out in Navarre. And I just get a call from an 850 number. Of course, I'm thinking it's back home.
Yeah.
And I pick up hello. And, he was like, is this Jermaine? And I was like, yeah, this me. Who is this? He was like, this is such and such husband, her husband. I said, bruh, before you even go there, I am not knocking your wife off. I promise you. He said, no. You was the last person she talked to alive. She got off the phone with you and hung herself. And I'm trying to see what was the conversation about. And he continued to talk. I ain't hear shit else he said.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And, I was on myself for about 2 days. I was like, damn, I shouldn't have changed my approach. That shit was fucked up, and it was a big monkey on my back. I was like, damn, and that's how I knew that suicide prevention doesn't always prevent suicide.
Right.
And then a week later, somebody in Pensacola had a gun to their head, and their family said, I will only talk to a male. Of course, Lakeview wasn't answering. Their crisis calls wasn't answering. At this point, 988 wasn't a thing. 211 Lifeline was, but I don't think they were 24 hours at this point. So they called me, and I just had an unsuccessful call the week before, and I just found out days before. And I'm going in there, I'm nervous as hell. I don't know what to say, because every adjective, pronoun, verb can affect this life.
Absolutely.
So back to the point, when somebody tells someone to pray this shit away, or black people don't do suicide, or there's nothing that is that bad to take your life, pisses me off. Because when I was working at this place, it just wasn't the call center for 988. After we stabilized them, we bring them in, and we counseled them for about 180 days.
Wow.
So there was this one guy, I loved this little guy, man, a little young white guy. This was out in Jacksonville Beach, so everybody had bread out there. And I loved him, but he was so drugged up because his diagnosis, all they was doing was just feeding them pills. So he was just coming up. And I was connected with him, man. And I called him Matty Ice because of his name, and because of hip hop, I won't say it. But I called him Matty Ice, and he's a 22-year-old white guy. And he came in one day. He had a big ass beard. I said, man, what the hell you growing the beard out for? He said, because you got one.
Oh.
I said, my dog, Matty Ice, goddamn, don't make me cry up in this bit. And now I was the only black person that worked there, so I stayed at some shit. I'm cocky. I know I'm the best suicide person there. I always ask for more money. And I walked around with a huge swagger because I know not only did I know I was the best, I would tell them I'm the best suicide caller here, not just here in the state. Fuck that, in the country. They fucking hated me, but they wouldn't let me go.
Like, you can't deny greatness.
Can't deny it. So I'm on the call, and my supervisor just sitting there looking at me like this. Young white girl, just looking at me like this. And, I'm wrapping up the call. I'm like, all right, cool, bam. I said, I know you want something, she said. So we walked downstairs. She said, Matty Ice just shot himself in the head. Man, I said, what? And then I'm in my car, and I'm crying because I love Matty Ice. Yeah. I was doing everything I could for Matty Ice because I was breaking rules. Like Matty Ice he had these, I was helping him with coping skills, and he loved to draw. So we had, I was just looking through his drawings. I said, when you feel stressed out, when you feel these things, work on your comic strip. Let's name these characters. We named them in our sessions. We putting together storylines. I said, you know what? If you come back with half of your storyline, I'm going to buy you a T-shirt and stickers with your character on it. He came back and did it. I went in my own pocket and I did it. Wow. And Matty Ice died by suicide. He went to a gun show when his parents was out of town, brought a gun, and when they came back from Colorado camping, they found it. And it was sad. And while I'm in the car crying about that, I get another call, and they tell me Moby died.
Oh,
so
man.
It was just a rough time.
Yeah.
But all in all, to go through all of that, I'm just saying, be careful when you say things about suicide that you don't understand. Mm-hmm. Because, it is synonymous with mental illness. Mm-hmm. People are thinking irrational, and, they think, I'm not going to get into it. That's another show we could come back and talk about. But I just wanted to make sure I say that because I don't want to touch on it, but we know what just happened here in Pensacola. Mm-hmm. And some of the comments or some of the whispers and some of the things that's unsaid that people are feeling or saying, but they won't say out loud, it's bullshit. Don't talk about nothing you don't understand. We've had, I came back home last year, and I don't mean to hog the time, I'm sorry, you boy, but we came back here last year before I moved back, and I had a teen suicide summit because of the young girl at Pine Forest. And, then a couple days later, it was the young girl at Milton, died by suicide. And they both were African American. They both were youth. And you mean to tell me black people don't do that? And that's why they don't even feel comfortable when they're having a suicidal ideation to come talk to you, because they don't, they tried to pray it away. Mm-hmm. We went to Pensacola State earlier this morning, and someone was like, I tried to pray it away and it didn't work. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's just not how it worked. No, I'm happy and would love to come back and have the conversation some more, but just destigmatizing and creating that safe space is so important. And that's also like where this space of Soul Step is, right? Of like, let's create a safe space for people before they get there. And so that they also have a place where they have someone that has the resources to get them to the next step of whatever it is that they may need. Because somebody may absolutely come to me and I'm like, oh, you do need to go see somebody and get a diagnosis, baby. And because I can about read this DSM-5 and tell you what it is, but I ain't gonna do it.
Right.
Let's go send you to somebody else, and I'm gonna be here with you.
And you know, when you said that, like, so Anita was on the movie It's Clinical, August the 3rd. You know, y'all come on now.
Y'all come see us.
850, come see us. That shit gonna go down. So Anita was our mental health consultant. And, you know, I wrote the script. And I gave this in the script, this big ass DSM thing. So they said, I love Swanita. Happy birthday, Swanita.
Happy birthday, Swanita.
But yeah, and for those that don't know, DSM-5
yes.
is like the Bible of mental illnesses and mental health. But Hale, I don't want to hold you all night. I really appreciate you. Congratulations on, I want to invite to the wedding too. But congratulations on the engagement. Go on, show that thing, because he did good.
He did real good.
And you did good, bro. Congratulations. Can't wait. I mean, I wish I could go in here and post a picture of me voting for you, but I know that's breaking the law, and you can't do that. But I'm going to feel like I'm how I did when I voted for Obama.
I'm excited, and I hope that everyone else comes out. I know what my win number is, and I hope that I just bring my win number with me, and then everybody else is, they just there. That's what I want. I want y'all to get registered to vote. Let's go vote. Also, marijuana is on the ballot.
So do your thing. Her
yes,
and marijuana, they're running mates.
Me and Mary Jane are running together, baby. Come on. Let's get us in the offices.
Morrissette Jane 2024. Y'all, this is Hale Morrissette, DJ Hale, author, social change worker, social worker, the DJ at the It's Clinical music premiere, and everything else. Really, last thing, where can they buy your journal?
Oh, you can get it on Amazon. It's Rhythms of Resilience, but also on lifeishale.com. Life, L-I-F-E, is Hale.com. Under the shop tab, you can order it. I will mail it to you signed if you buy it off of there.
And if you are trying to manage your mental illness or know someone that's not ready to go get help, or if you don't have the means for help, I promise you by getting that journal is an interactive way. It's made for our culture with mental health in mind. It will have the strides that you're looking for until you can get to that next level. I promise you that. I'm Jermaine J. Williams. Behind the camera, that's Yabui. And this is our future state representative for District 2. It's Clinical Podcast. See you in a couple days. Bye, y'all.
Yabui, they waiting on who next.